Hey guys, so if you remember, they just got back from the dentist and then they went to buy shoes, and Fudge threw a fit in the middle of the store. Everybody was looking at him, and they found out that he wanted saddle shoes. He didn't want saddle shoes like most of the kids wore. He wanted loafers like his brother Peter. And so the only way they got out of the store was Peter pretended to buy saddle shoes too. And remember, I told you saddle shoes are what little kids used to wear a long time ago. They're brown and white leather, kind of look like tennis shoes a little bit. So now they've left the shoe store and they're going to go get lunch. We went to Hamburger Heaven for lunch. We sat in a booth and Fudge tossed his balloon around while my mother ordered for him and then for herself. I ordered my own lunch, a hamburger with everything on it and a chocolate milkshake. Fudge was getting a kiddie special, meaning a hamburger without the bun, mashed potatoes, and a side of peas. Ugh. When our lunch was served, my mother cut Fudge's hamburger into tiny pieces, which she shoved into his mouth with his finger. Then she handed him a spoon and told him to eat his mashed potatoes. But instead of eating them, he smeared them on the wall. "See," he said. "Thought you told me he would behave like that he wouldn't behave like that anymore," I said to my mother. "Fudgy, that's naughty. You stop that right now," my mother said. But Fudge sang, "Eat it or wear it. Eat it or wear it." Remember, that's what his dad said when he poured cereal on top of his head in the bathtub when Fudge was pretending to be a dog and wouldn't eat anything. I laughed. I couldn't help it. He looked so silly with all the peas falling from his hair. And when I ate and laughed at the same time, I choked. So I choked on my pickle, and my mother had to whack me on the back, which gave Fudge another chance to spread mashed potatoes all over the wall. Then, when the waitress asked my mother, did we want anything else? "No, thank you," my mother said. "We have more than enough right now." She wiped off the wall with her napkin and told Fudge that he was very, very bad. "Not me," Fudge said. "Not me." "Yes, you," my mother told him. "Why can't you eat like Peter? See how nice Peter eats?" Fudge didn't say anything. He just stuck his fork into his balloon and it popped and he screamed, "All gone! Want more balloon! Want more balloon!" "Stop talking," I said. "Can you ever act just like a human?" "That's enough, Peter," my mother said. She should have slugged him right there. That would teach that brother of mine how to behave in Hamburger Heaven. We took a cab home. Now remember, they live in New York, so they have like taxis that take them places because nobody owns cars. So you walk, take a subway, which is a underground train kind of thing, or a taxi or a cab, which is just like somebody who drives a car and takes people places, but you have to pay them. We took a cab home and Fudge fell asleep on the way. He had his fingers in his mouth and he was making that slurping noise. My mother whispered to me, "Our day wasn't that bad, was it, Peter?" I didn't answer. I just looked out the taxi window and decided that I would never spend a day with Farley Drexel Hatcher again. Chapter 7, The Flying Train Committee. In January, our class started a project on the city. Mrs. Haver, our teacher, divided us up into committees by where we live. That way we could work at home. My committee was me, Jimmy Fargo, and Sheila. Our topic was transportation. So we decided to make my apartment the meeting place because I'm the only one out of the three of us who has his own bedroom. In a few weeks, each committee has to hand in a booklet, a poster, and be ready to give an oral report. That means they have to talk about it. The first day we got together after school, we bought a yellow poster board. Jimmy wanted blue one, but Sheila talked him out of it. "Yellow is so much of a brighter color," she explained. "Everything will show up on it. Blue is just so dull." Sheila thinks she's smarter than me and Jimmy put together, but just because she's a girl. So right away she told us she would be in charge of our booklet and that me and Jimmy could do most of the poster. As long as we check with her first to make sure she likes our idea. We agreed since Sheila promised to do 10 pages of written work and we only had to do 5. After we bought the yellow poster board, we went to the library and we took out 7 books. We checked out 7 books on transportation. We wanted to learn all we could about speed, traffic congestion, and pollution. We arranged to meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays afternoons for the next 2 weeks. Our first few committee meetings turned out like this. We got to my place by 3:30, had a snack. Then we played with Dribble for half an hour. Sheila gave up on the cooties when Fudge lost his front teeth, but it still isn't much fun to have her hanging around. She always complains that she got stuck with the worst possible committee, and that me and Jimmy fool around more than we work. We only put up with her because we have no choice. Sheila and Jimmy have to be home for supper by 5:30. So at 5 o'clock we start cleaning up. We keep our equipment under my bed in a shoebox. We have a set of magic markers, Elmer's glue, Scotch tape, and a really sharp pair of scissors, and a container of silver sparkles. Sheila carries our committee booklet back and forth with her. She doesn't trust us enough to leave it at my house. The poster board fits under my bed along with our supplies, and we stack the library books on my desk. The reason I make sure we clean up good is that my mother told me if it was a mess, we'd have to find someplace else to work. By our third meeting, I told Jimmy and Sheila that I'd figure out the solution to New York City's traffic problem. We have to get rid of the traffic, I said. There shouldn't be any cars or buses or taxis allowed in the city. What we really need is a citywide monorail system. Now, if you've ever been to Disney World, you know that they have a monorail system. So what it is, it's a train, but instead of going on a track on the ground, the track is built up like almost as high as buildings, and the train goes on a track almost like a roller coaster, but it's not like this. It's just a road. It's called a monorail because it's one rail. Mono is one. And so it's on one rail, and it just kind of glides on there. It's really cool. It's kind of scary sometimes. That's too expensive, Sheila said, and it sounds good, but it's not practical. I disagree, I told Sheila. It's very practical. Besides getting rid of traffic, it'll get rid of air pollution, and it'll get people where they're going a lot faster. He's pretty right on that. That sounds like a good idea. But it's not practical, Peter, Sheila said, and again, it costs too much. It would cost a lot. I opened one of my books on transportation and read a quote to Sheila. A monorail system is the hope of the future. I cleared my throat and looked up. But we can't write a report just on a monorail. We'll never be able to fill 20 pages, oh my goodness, with that. You ever had to write a 20-page report? It's pretty huge, isn't it? We can write big, Jimmy suggested. No, Sheila said. I want a good mark on this project. Peter, you can write your 5 pages about the monorail system and how it works. Jimmy, you can write your 5 pages on air pollution caused by transportation. And I'll write my 10 pages on the history of transportation in this city. She folded her arms and she smiled. Can I write big? Jimmy asked. I don't care how big you write as long as you put your name on your 5 pages, Sheila told him. That's not fair. Why should I have to put my name on my 5 pages? Then don't write big, Sheila shouted. Okay, I'll write so small. Mrs. Haver will need a microscope to see the letters. Why does Sheila not want them to write big? It's neater. Your handwriting is neater when it's small. When you write really big, it looks messy. So you always want to write small and neat. So he's talking about writing big and then not neat. Sheila wants it. She wants to get a good grade, so she wants him to write neat. Very funny, Sheila said. Look, I told both of them I think our written work should be in the same handwriting. That's only fair way. Otherwise, Mrs. Haver will know who did what, and it won't be a group project. Say, that's a good idea, Jimmy said. Which one of us has the best handwriting? Me and Jimmy looked at Sheila. Well, I don't have a nice even handwriting. Sheila said. "But if I'm going to copy over your written work, you better give it to me by next Tuesday. Otherwise, I won't have time to do the job. And you two better get going on your poster." Sheila talked like she was the teacher and we were the kids. Me and Jimmy designed the whole poster ourselves. We used the pros and cons of each kind of transportation. It was really clever. We divided a chart into land, sea, and air, and we planned an illustration for each, with the airplane done in silver sparkles and the letters done in red and blue magic marker. We got halfway through the lettering that day. We also sketched the ship, the plane, and the truck. When Sheila saw it, she asked, "Is it supposed to be a train?" "No," I told her, "it's a truck." "Doesn't look like a truck," she said. "It will, when it's finished." "I hope so, because right now it looks like a flying train." "That's because the ground's not under it yet," Jimmy said. "Yeah, I agree. See, we've got to make it look like it's on a street. Right now it does kind of look like it's in space." "So does the ship," Sheila said. "We'll put some water around it," I told her. "And some clouds around the plane," Sheila said. "Listen," Jimmy hollered. "Did anybody ever tell you that you're too bossy? The poster is ours. You do the booklet. Remember, that's the way you wanted it." "See, there you go again," Sheila said. "You keep forgetting that this is a committee. We're supposed to work on this together. Working together doesn't mean you give us orders and carry them out," Jimmy said. My feelings exactly, I thought. Sheila didn't answer Jimmy. She picked up her things and she got her coat and left. "I hope she never comes back," Jimmy said. "She'll be back," I told her. "We're her committee." Jimmy laughed. "Yeah, well, we're all one happy committee." I put her poster under the bed and said goodbye to Jimmy, then washed up for supper. My mother was being pretty nice about our committee meeting. She arranged to have Fudge play at Ralph's apartment on Tuesday and Ginny's on Thursday. You guys remember Ralph and Ginny? Ralph's the one that threw up, and Ginny's the one that kept biting people. Sam has the chicken box, so he can't play at all. I was glad that the next week would be our last committee meeting after school. I was sick of Sheila, and I was getting sick of transportation. Besides, now that I knew a monorail system was the only way to save our city, I was getting pretty upset that the mayor and all the other guys that run the city hall weren't doing anything about installing one. If I know that's the best method of transportation, then how come they don't know it? Alright, we'll have to find out what happens next time, but I have a feeling that something's going to happen to their poster, and that Fudge is going to have a hand in it. We'll have to see tomorrow.